save on Valvoline at Walmart. To get around the high cost.
Yeah, and iced tea.
For enticing aroma and gold.
The forecast at 10.
And most likely, neither would you. Keeping you from becoming an accident statistic is what the next hour is all about. We'll put you right behind the wheel with a 25-question test of your driving skill. We'll find out if you're a highway hero or a terror on wheels. Hi, I'm Robert Urich, and joining us this year to take the test are 4 groups of people whose scores will serve as a comparison. First, from Boston, Massachusetts, 4 taxi drivers. From Sun City, Arizona, 4 happily retired folks from Ambassador Community Bridge Club. From Santa Rosa, California, 4 relative newcomers to our highways. From Atlanta, Georgia, we turn the table a bit and test 4 traffic examiners from the Department of Motor Vehicles. Our concern this hour is safety. That's why the Department of Transportation, the American Automobile Association, and others have joined Valvoline in designing this test. Now, all you need to take the test is a piece of paper and pencil and your driving smarts, as we put you in some situations we hope you never have to face.
The second annual Valvoline National Driving Test will be right back with host Robert Urich and guest stars Danny Glover, Barbara Mandrell, Jerry Seinfeld, Rue McClanahan, William Shatner, Joan Rivers, Ted Shackelford, Connie Selica, Al Unser Jr., Candace Cameron, Lyle Alzado, Marsha Warfield, Barry King, Fred Dreyer, and special guest President George Bush. The second annual Valvoline National Driving Test. The challenge is back.
This important program is brought to you by Valvoline Motor Oil and the people of Valvoline.
I think everybody thinks they're an expert when it comes to driving. I think we all think that we are the best driver there is. Obviously, that's not the case. Each one of us can learn more about good defensive driving. One of the big reasons why Valvoline is sponsoring this national driving test is to give people that kind of an experience. Let them take a test. Let them find out how much they know and how much they don't know about the rules of the road.
Welcome to the second annual Valvoline National Driving Test.
Driving might be easy if it was just you out there on the road, but in reality, it is a jungle out there. Traffic is a maze of cars, trucks, motorcycles, bicycles, pedestrians, all competing for their share of the road. The undisputed king of the road is the big truck. Weighing in at 80,000 pounds, the average tractor-trailer is more than a match for your 2,000-pound car. But there's no need to fear trucks if you know how to share the road with them. Here's question number 1 of the test, worth 4 points. You're on an 8-lane freeway with moderate traffic at 55 miles per hour. You're passing a large tractor-trailer and pull over as soon as you clear the front of it. Suddenly, the pickup truck in front of you slams on his brakes. You stop in time to avoid hitting the pickup, but the tractor-trailer crashes into you from the rear. How could you have avoided this collision? A, left more distance between your car and the pickup. B, left more distance between your car and the tractor-trailer. C, tapped your brakes several times to alert the tractor-trailer driver. D, all of the above. For 4 points, the answer is B, left more distance between your car and the tractor-trailer. The biggest complaint of truckers is that cars cut them off, pulling too close in front of them. Because trucks are bigger and heavier, it takes them much longer to stop than it does cars. You should leave more space between yourself and a large vehicle than you would for another car. A good rule of thumb when passing is to wait until you can see both headlights and the tires in your rear view mirror before pulling in front.
I'm Danny Glover, and I want to talk to you about Lethal Weapon. Not the movie, the car. That little four-wheel wonder shares responsibility for 2 million disabling injuries and more than 50,000 deaths a year. That's what I call lethal. You can help lower those staggering statistics by paying attention this hour and driving safely all the time. And if you think accidents happen only to the other guy, remember, to everyone else, you are the other guy.
Now, we've talked about some of the larger vehicles, like the big trucks, but you should also be concerned about motorcycles because of their size, their small size. For 4 points, here's question number 2. You are driving down a 4-lane highway. A motorcycle is directly in front of you, driving in the right side of the lane. He is far enough over that you can pass him without crossing into another lane. True or false? It is safe to pass in this situation. False. It is never safe to pass a motorcycle in your same lane. In fact, in most states, it is illegal. A motorcycle is a vehicle too, and is entitled to a whole lane. Don't be fooled if the motorcycle is over to one side. He may need to maneuver within the lane to avoid unsafe conditions or an obstacle. Do you know who are the most dangerous people you're likely to meet in your lifetime? Just look in the mirror. They're drivers just like you. You're more likely to be killed in a traffic accident than any other way. You should remember that the next time a traffic officer stops you for going just 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, and you're annoyed the officer isn't out chasing people you consider real criminals. Let's put you in his shoes and see what he sees. Question number 3 is a fill in the blank. We're going to take a ride. Write down every traffic violation you can see. Here we go. Point each, here are the 8 violations you could have spotted. Number 1, the brake lights are not working on this car. Number 2, rolling through a stop sign instead of coming to a complete stop. 3, making a lane change without signaling. 4, failing to yield right-of-way to a pedestrian. 5, slowing to a crawl or stopping on a highway on-ramp where there is other traffic. 6, pulling into traffic without signaling. 7, traveling below the speed limit in the fast lane. And finally, 8, cutting off another vehicle. Any one of these might trigger a driving disaster. Be alert. And remember, you get half a point for each violation for a possible total of 4 points.
Hi, I'm Fred Dreyer. I'd like you to listen up for a minute. When a police officer stops you, pull over to the side of the road first, then stop. Stay in your car with your safety belts buckled. The police officer will stop behind you and approach your car. You'll be asked for your license, your registration, and in some states, proof of insurance. Now you can go for the wallet, the purse, or the glove compartment. Give these items to the police officer through the window. Keep your hands in plain view at all times. Remember, the police are out there keeping roads safe for all of us. And it's much better to be stopped by a police officer than to be stopped for good.
Another creature to look out for in that jungle on the road is the bicycle rider. He doesn't have a protective hide like cars and trucks. His only bumper may be a pair of jeans. Question number 4. You're approaching an intersection where you want to make a right turn. A bicycle rider is up ahead of you, to the right. You turn in front of the bike, and it smashes into you. What could you have done to prevent this accident? A, stayed farther to the left while making your turn. B, pulled ahead of the bike more quickly. C, slowed down and pulled in behind the bike. D, sounded your horn to alert the bicyclist. For 4 points, the answer is C. slowed down and pulled in behind the bike. You should treat the bicycle like any other vehicle. If this was another car, you'd pull in behind it. Speeding up to pull ahead of the bicycle is a setup for disaster. You'll have to slow down in front of him to make your turn, and the cyclist will have little time to react.
See this? You can't break it. Now see this? Breaks real easy. In fact, in all my years as a football player, that's all anybody ever tried to do, was to break my head. But that's why I wore a helmet, of course. I tried to break a few heads myself. That's why they wore helmets. But now I have a whole new image. I'm a biker. Yeah, and here is my bike. And let me tell you something. I wouldn't go on a football field without a helmet, and I don't go running in city traffic without a helmet either. Neither should you or your kids. Do you know that every year in this country, more than 50,000 children suffer head injuries while riding a bike? And almost 1,000 die as a direct result of collisions with motor vehicles. So be smart. Helmets save a lot more than headaches. They could save your life.
1 out of every 6 people who die in traffic accidents aren't driving any kind of vehicle at all. They're pedestrians, and it's up to you to look out for them. Question number 5. You stop for a red light, and you find that your car is blocking the pedestrian crosswalk. True or false? You should back up out of the crosswalk. False. You should stay where you are. Pedestrians who now have the green light may have walked behind your car to cross the street. Of course, it's a mistake to stop in the crosswalk in the first place. You can avoid this by not entering the crosswalk unless you have time to make it all the way through the intersection. Give yourself 4 points if you answered false. Let's check in with our test groups and see how they're doing. How's it going so far in Sun City?
June did 10.5, Bobby did 15, I did 9, and Jackie did 14. So you know what? I'm in trouble.
Now we've got the gang in Santa Rosa, California.
Our average was 13. We messed up big on number 1. Yes!
How about the Boston cabbies?
Well, we all did pretty well, I think. Arlene did the best with 15 points. I came in second with 14.5. And John Campbell came in third with 11.5. And John came up last with 11. And the rest of those groups just better watch out because we're going to do even better on the next portion of the quiz.
And the people who should have an edge, the traffic examiners in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, Elga received 13.5 points. George, which myself, I received 14 points. Lois received 10 points. And Rico received 14 points. I think we're doing great.
Now add up your score. If you got everything right so far, you could have 20 points. When we come back, we'll give your brain a real workout with a test of your driving IQ.
There is nothing that I enjoy better than racing Indy cars. It's a good feeling to know that you have the best race car that is on the racetrack, or is, in our terms, the most hooked up car that's out there.
The oil temperature coming out of the engine before it gets to the oil cooler is probably somewhere close to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And if it starts to break down, then that's when it's going to cause you problems.
In the 12 years of IndyCar racing that I've been in, I've always used Valvoline. I've never had an oil-related engine problem.
I think we have had enough experience with Valvoline in the race car that we know that that's one part of the race car on race day that we don't have to worry about.
You can't get a better product than what Valvoline has to offer.
People who know use Valvoline.
You can't settle for second best. The minute you do that, you're settling for second place.
There's a motor oil that advertises world-class protection. Impressive. But Valvoline is recommended by name in the owner's manuals of these world-class cars. The other motor oil is not. Whatever you drive, Valvoline makes the highest quality motor oil recommended by any car manufacturer. Around the world, people who know use Valvoline.
Get ready for Burt Reynolds in Evening Shade, Fridays this fall.
Welcome back. It doesn't take a PhD or an MBA to keep you from being DOA, dead on arrival, after a serious accident. Surviving on the road just takes a good driving IQ. Let's test yours. Question number 6 for 4 points. You're on a residential street approaching an intersection. There's a stop sign on the cross street, but no stop sign for you. A car coming from the cross street runs the stop sign, and you slam into it. How could you have avoided this collision? A, braked harder. B, steered left. C, steered right. D, braked and steered right. For 4 points, the correct answer is D, braked and steered right. Most people's tendency is to rely only on their brakes if they fear a collision is imminent. Often, it's more effective to use your steering wheel along with the brakes. Cars moving at 30 miles per hour or faster can be maneuvered with the steering wheel in less distance than it takes to stop. In this situation, steering to the right may get you out of the path of the other car.
I'm William Shatner. Every week on Rescue 911, we show you how emergency teams save lives. But would you know what to do if you were the first to arrive at the scene of an accident? Make sure you pull your car all the way off the road to avoid causing another accident. Then help anyone who is not breathing, as well as anyone who is severely bleeding. Make the injured as comfortable as possible and provide the necessary first aid. But unless you know exactly what you're doing, don't move them. Ask the first person who comes along to call 911 or a doctor and have someone else divert traffic. And remember, while 911 may be an exciting TV program, don't make yourself a star in it. Drive carefully.
Now for your etiquette lesson of the day. Question 7 has 4 parts, all involving turns. You are on a 4-lane boulevard in the right-hand lane. A truck in front of you swings to the left. True or false? You are safe to pull forward and turn right. For 1 point, the answer is false. You should be aware that trucks make very wide turns. If you pull forward, you may be caught in the path of the turning truck. Part 2. You're turning in a turn-only lane in moderate traffic. You do not need to signal because it is obvious which way you'll be turning. True or false? False. You must signal every time you change the position or direction of your car. 1 point for false. Part 3. You are approaching an intersection on a large boulevard and pass a bus that is stopped on the right. You want to make a right turn. It is safe to pull in front of the bus to make your turn. True or false? False for 1 point. You can't see around the bus. There may be people starting to cross the street. Plus, you don't know when the bus may start moving again. And finally, for 1 point, you're in a left turn lane at a busy intersection. 2 cars in front of you make left turns, but the light turns red just as you enter the crosswalk. True or false? You should stay where you are and not complete your turn. True. You should stay right where you are. Of course, it's best to avoid this situation by never entering the crosswalk on a yellow light.
Sometimes it's not a question of your rights or your right-of-way. It's how quickly you can react. Hi, I'm Perry King. And I like to spend my spare time on a racetrack, but whether I'm driving my race car or my old Ferrari or a pickup truck that I've got, I've learned that my safety can often depend on split-second decisions, as in question number 8. You're driving on a highway at 55 miles an hour when suddenly you see a mattress in the lane ahead of you. There are other cars directly to your right and left, preventing you from changing lanes. What is the best thing to do? A, press your brake pedal as hard as you can and hold it there. B, steer around the mattress and signal to alert other drivers. C, brake and go over the mattress as slowly as possible. D, accelerate without braking to get over the mattress as quickly as possible. Give yourself 4 points if you answered C, brake and go over the mattress as slowly as you can. Your best bet is to use a pumping motion on the brake. This will keep the wheels from locking. Whatever technique you use, take your foot off the brake as you go over the mattress. This will give you better control of your steering.
And if you answer correctly, give yourself another 4 points.
Hi, I'm Alan Jr. Every race car driver knows that sometimes it's what you don't see that can hurt you the most. You know, earlier this race season, another car and I were moving into the same lane. Well, you can see what happens when you're going that fast and that close to the other guy. I was very lucky, but that's not always the case. Take a look at question number 9. You are on a freeway getting ready to make a lane change. 2 lanes away, another driver decides to change lanes at the same time into the same lane. As you start to move over, you barely miss slamming into the other car. True or false? A check of your rear view and side mirrors could have prevented this dangerous situation. The answer is false. Looking into the rear view and side mirrors is a must, but so is a simple glance over your shoulder. The mirrors only show you what's behind you or in the next lane, but they also have blind spots. The mirrors don't show you what's happening 1 lane over. If you add a quick head check, you'll get the whole picture.
Hi, I'm Candace Cameron. By the time I'm ready to drive, the car of the future will almost drive for me. Now, how about a rear view camera and a little TV screen on the dashboard to show what's behind and to the side? And if you've ever had trouble parallel parking, and who hasn't, the car of the future will parallel park itself. Just get the front end in, and little wheels pop out to scoot the rest in. And finally, a breakaway car is coming. It's a full-size family van, but push a button and an extra set of wheels comes down and the back part slips off. With a car like that, you can offload and have a cozy little ride for 2.
You see them all the time out on the road, the signs and signals that are supposed to make driving easier. But if you don't know what they mean, that's a sign you may be headed for trouble. In question 10, we'll show you 8 signs, signals, and markings for half a point each. Let's see if you know what each one means. Okay, time for the answers. First, the yellow light. We've all seen it. It means prepare to stop, not speed up to beat the red light. Number 2, this sign means lane added, such as where the on-ramp joins the main lanes of a highway. As you enter the freeway, you do not have to merge into another lane. 3, even though it says exit only, many people don't realize it means you must exit. Your lane will end. Number 4, divided highway. This means traffic is going to be separated by a median and you should stay to the right. Number 5, pavement ends. This means the paved road will soon end and the road will become dirt or gravel. Slow down. 6, hill or steep downgrade ahead. All drivers, especially those with large vehicles, should reduce speed and use extra caution. Number 7, flagger ahead. This sign means you are approaching a work zone. Follow the directions of the flagger, even if the way looks clear to you. And finally, the yellow solid line next to a broken line means passing is allowed in one direction, but not in the other. If you are on the side of the solid line, you may not pass. Give yourself a half point for each one you got right. Now let's see how you're doing on the test. If you answered everything correctly so far, you could have a total of 40 points. When we come back, we'll take you to the body shop. You'll see how knowing about your car's body can help protect your body.
After 10 questions, the Boston cab drivers scored an average of 29 points. The Santa Rosa teens, 28.5. The Atlanta DMV testers, 27.5. And the Sun City Bridge Club, 27.
Who uses Valvoline motor oil? People like leading race car driver Al Unser Jr.
If a driver ever told you, no, I don't get scared, I'm not scared, he's lying to you. The technology that goes into the Indy car is second to none. Over half the field at Indy is using Valvoline. If there was a motor oil out there that was better, it would be in my car.
People who know use Valvoline. Who uses Valvoline motor oil? People like champion amateur racer David Tenney.
Some people have hobbies. They play a lot of golf. They play a lot of tennis. I play with cars. When it's just right and you're driving right on the edge, that's the best feeling there is. I'm using Valvoline 1030 racing oil. There's a horsepower advantage to be gained by using the lightest weight oil you can get while still giving the engine the protection it needs to run, because I don't like to finish second.
People who know use Valvoline. From the highest form of professional racing.
I'm trying to make my race car better than anybody else's.
To the weekend amateur.
I want a horsepower advantage. I want to win races.
From the great mechanics of today.
We're professionals and we're perfectionists.
To the great mechanics of tomorrow.
You have to really work hard to become what you want to be.
People who know use
Valvoline.
Valvoline.
Valvoline. We use Valvoline.
People who know use Valvoline.
The second annual Valvoline National Driving Test will continue.
Central City is crumbling.
What's that? Oh my God.
These people live in fear.
I know what I have to do. What are you? Remember me?
I knew you'd come.
The Flash, Thursdays this fall. It's time for some environmental action. With a new team of heroes to lead the way.
Mind if I take this?
Join the fight. Earth Force, Saturdays this fall.
This is CBS. It's morning. And today, people throughout central Illinois will wake up healthy. Even though last year, more than 7,000 of them had heart attacks, 8,400 were in serious accidents, and over 4,000 had cancer. But because of the caring, dedication, and skill of Carl physicians, many of those people are living normal, productive lives who might otherwise have never seen another sunrise.
A Current Affair, weeknights at 11 here on Channel 3.
Good evening, I'm Jerry Slabe and this is Newsbreak. Coming up at the Channel 3 News at 10, at least 19 are dead and hundreds of others injured following tornadoes that ripped through suburban Joliet this afternoon. They flattened a high school, leveled at least 50 houses, and tossed vehicles off highways. The path of destruction, 5 miles long, 1 mile wide. We'll have the latest on tonight's search through the rubble for possible survivors. More after this.
Hills has lead jeans like nobody else. For back-to-school shopping.
Go for it.
John Mayo with tonight's baseball action, Judy with tonight's thunderstorm activity, and it's retirement to Florida for Spunky. Stick around for the Channel 3 News at 10.
Welcome back to the second annual Valvoline National Driving Test. They call them crash dummies, and for good reason. Who else would get in a car with absolutely no protection? Unfortunately, the answer is more than half the people in this country. Which brings us to question number 11, for 4 points. A young man is picking up a friend to take her out for a ride in his new car. He is very proud of all the new features on the car, including an airbag on the driver's side. As with most new cars, the passenger side doesn't have an airbag, so the friend buckles her safety belt. True or false? For 4 points, the driver does not need to buckle his safety belt because there is an airbag on his side. False. Even though he has an airbag, the driver should still buckle a safety belt. Airbags are meant to be used along with safety belts, not to replace them. The bag is only designed to inflate in a crash involving the front of your car, not in a rear end, side, or rollover crash. That's why you need your safety belt too. Once the bag is activated, it inflates in less time than it takes to blink an eye. It fills with harmless nitrogen gas, and then, in less than a second, the gas is released through vents, allowing the bag to deflate quickly.
Last week I went out with a girl and she told me to buckle up. I said, but we're in the living room. Actually, we should all buckle up every time we get into a car. The fact is, in a collision at just 15 miles an hour without a safety belt, you could hit the windshield as hard as 150 pounds of cement dropped from a second-story window. Do you know what kind of damage that could do to your face? It could kill you. And it's brutal on your TV reception.
Safety belts are obviously important, but could there be a valid reason for not wearing one? We'll see in question 12. A woman who is almost 9 months pregnant gets in the car to go to the market. She tries to buckle her safety belt, but feels uncomfortable pressure. True or false? This is the one exception to the safety belt rule. Women more than 7 months pregnant should not wear safety belts because of possible danger to the fetus. For 4 points, the answer is false. Even on the trip to the hospital to deliver, a pregnant woman should always wear a safety belt. The best way to protect the fetus is to protect the mother. Obstetricians recommend that the lap and shoulder belts should both be used, with the lap belt as low as possible on the hips, under the baby.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to talk to you about a national tragedy, the daily toll of lives lost on our nation's highways. Here's a terrible fact. More than twice as many Americans have been killed on our highways than on all the battlefields of this country's wars since 1776. Twice as many. Stopping this senseless bloodshed isn't complicated. A lot can be done with one simple piece of equipment, a safety belt. Buckling your safety belt is the single best thing you can do to prevent an injury or death in a car crash. And yet many people just don't bother. Less than half of all Americans buckle up, and that's got to change. We've set a national goal of increasing belt use to 70% by 1992. And that alone could save more than 9,000 lives a year. And remember, even if you're not going very far or very fast, a seatbelt can save your life. And so protect yourself, your family, and your friends. Use your safety belt and make sure they use theirs. Let's make the 1990s a decade of peace, prosperity, and safety. Let's make sure we're all here to enjoy it together.
Being prepared is the key to keeping your car out of the body shop, because in certain situations, knowing what your car will or will not do can make all the difference. Question number 13, worth 4 points. You're driving on a busy highway when your engine dies. You should immediately turn off your engine to prevent overheating or a possible electrical fire. True or false? False. You should never turn off your ignition on a street or highway when your engine fails. This may cause your steering to lock. When your car stalls, what you should do is shift into neutral and guide your car off the road.
Can we talk? Not you, the car. Don't laugh. It's not like your kids. You should pay attention when your car is whining at you. 1 point each. Identify these 4 sounds and the problems they may indicate. Here's sound number 1. Sound number 2. Sound number 3. And sound number 4. Okay, let's go back to sound number 1. 1 ping means you've dropped your lipstick. Excessive pinging or knocking may be caused by low-octane gas. What it means is you need to switch to higher octane. Now for the clunk. Let me tell you, I met my share of clunks during my lifetime, but this clunk sound means something is loose and it's about to break in your steering mechanism. Sound number 3, a high-pitched squeal. First of all, make sure you don't have a little cheerleader in your trunk. And if you still have that squeal after you've taken her out, it means the drive belt is loose. And finally, number 4, the metallic grinding. That means your brake pads are shot. So get your car to the shop right away.
Besides making horrible sounds, your car may try to communicate with you using sign language. For some of the signs you can see, here's question 15. You're driving on the highway when the oil light comes on. What should you do? A, pull out of traffic and turn off the engine. B, drive to the nearest gas station. C, keep driving, but remember to add oil the next time you get gas. D, stop immediately and abandon your car. For 4 points, the answer is A. As soon as it's safe, pull out of traffic and turn off the engine. When the oil light comes on, this means that your oil pressure is dangerously low. Any more driving could destroy the engine.
Hi, I'm Rue McClanahan, and I'm here to tell you about the things you ought to keep in your car at all times. Besides money and the phone number of the nearest Chippendales, of course, this is an emergency kit no one should be without. Here's what you need. Screwdrivers of all sizes, pliers, an extra fan belt, great idea, a lug wrench, just in case some big lug happens by, a jack, and preferably a Tom or a Bill or anybody to help you with the jack, a flat board so the jack can work on soft surfaces, no comment, a flashlight, extra batteries, pencil and notebook, especially if you want to exchange phone numbers with that lug who wrenched your fan belt. A blanket. You may need a little extra warmth and nobody else is around. Or a fire extinguisher in case things get too hot. Well, I can't think of anything else. Oh, except, of course, one thing no girl should be without. A handy little generator. But you can just pick the size that's best for your emergency.
We've made it through 3 sections of the test. Let's check in across the country. Atlanta.
All right, Elgar has 36.5 points. I have 40 points. Lois has 31 points. And Rico has 42 points. And we're going to check yours, Rico, at the end of this segment.
Sun City.
Here in Sun City, June's total is 32. Bobby's total is 45. My total is 34.5, and Jackie's total is 34.5. It's really a whopper, this test, I'll tell you.
Checking our scoreboard, you could have a total of 60 points so far if you were a real whiz and got every question right. Up ahead on the driving test, we'll see whether or not you know what to do when conditions take a turn for the worse.
Hi, I'm Ted Shackelford. Skids can happen on any surface, but they're more likely to happen whenever there's anything on the road. It could be loose gravel or dirt like this, or much more typically, the treacherous conditions that are created whenever the weather turns bad. Question number 16 sounds simple, but it's crucial to your safety. What's the most common cause of a skid? A, over-accelerating, B, over-braking, C, sudden turning of steering wheel, D, none of the above. For 4 points, the answer is B, over-braking. When you brake too hard, your wheels can lock up, causing your tires to lose traction with the road. This is the most common cause of skids. Part of avoiding a skid involves knowing which areas of the road are likely to be the most slippery. Question number 17 is a fill in the blank. You're traveling on a very cold day. Look at this picture and pick out the 3 areas of the road that are most likely to be icy. The answers are the bridge, the bottom of the hill, and the shaded area. The bridge is more likely to be icy because cold air is circulating under it as well as over it. Water can accumulate at the bottom of the hill and freeze, and it's always colder in the shade. If you got one area right, give yourself 1 point. 2 areas right, 2 points. And if you found all 3, give yourself 4 points.
Water on the road becomes an especially tricky problem when the water is not just on the road, but also on your brakes. Question number 18. If your brakes become wet, the best way to dry them off is to pump the brake pedal vigorously. True or false? For 4 points, the answer is false. Anytime you drive through water, you should test your brakes to see if they are working. If not, you should accelerate slightly with your right foot and use your left foot to apply gentle pressure on the brake pedal. Do this until the brakes work properly again.
I love performing. Always have, always will.
But this could have been my last performance. My children, Matt and Jamie, and I were not safety belt users, but minutes before this crash, we put them on. Experts say that we would have been killed without them. I share this with you out of love. Please buckle up. You may never get another chance.
When you think about it, all the questions in this section really boil down to one important variable in the driving equation: traction. When you have it, you have great control of your car. But you lose traction, look out. To give you an idea how much traction can vary, question 19 for 4 points. You're traveling 40 miles per hour on dry pavement when you apply your brakes. After applying the brakes, how much distance do you need to come to a complete stop? A, 50 to 80 feet. B, 2 car lengths. C, 100 to 150 feet. D, 4 car lengths. For 4 points, the answer is C. It will take approximately 110 feet to come to a complete stop. In rainy conditions, it would take you about 200 feet to stop. On gravel, 350 feet. And on ice, about 770 feet. Your most frustrating moment may come when you don't have any traction at all. The wheels are turning, but you're not going anywhere. Question number 20 for 4 points. Your wheels are stuck in the mud. What is the first thing you should do to get out? A, accelerate quickly to keep from sinking deeper in the mud. B, steer from side to side while accelerating to dislodge your wheels. C, put your car into reverse and accelerate quickly. D, accelerate slowly in the same direction. The answer is D. Accelerate slowly in the same direction. If this doesn't work, you should try rocking the car back and forth, shifting from drive to reverse until you rock the car out. But check your owner's manual first to make sure this is recommended for your car. If it is, only rock the car a few times. Any more and you could damage your transmission. Okay, let's make a pit stop and see how you're doing before we go into the final lap of the driving test. Santa Rosa teens.
Our average for this section, for section 4, was 14 points. Our overall score so far for sections 1 through 4 is Jason has 56, Trisha has 58, Alicia has 53.5, I have 50 again at the bottom.
Well, our car race has taken a totally different turn in section 4. Manny got 17 points for a total of 68 and a half. John got a total of 17 points for a total of 62 and a half. Arlene got a total of 9 points, bringing me way down for a total of 62. John, my husband, got a 9 for a total score of 53 and a half.
Who uses Valvoline motor oil? People who say yes to high-performance racing but say no to drugs.
ICY stands for Inner City Youth Racing. The neighborhood where the kids on my particular team come from could probably walk out of any one of their houses and buy drugs 24 hours a day. I'm a recovering addict, and I wanted to give kids an opportunity to experience something that they would not normally be exposed to. And what we do is they're my pit crew, and we take them all across the country with us.
Where I come from is pretty rough. I think if I wasn't able to join the team, I figure I would be a lost case. 'Cause I love working on cars. I want to, grow up to be somebody. I don't want to grow up to be nobody.
And that's what we try to teach the kids, that if you stay straight and you go after a goal and you work at it and you're patient, you have to be patient. It doesn't come overnight. You can get what you want.
People who know use Valvoline.
Growing up, I didn't get all the breaks, So I decided I was too cool. For my family, my friends, especially for school. And one day, old Mr. Hopkins, the math teacher, just shows up on my front porch. He says, son, you can go on feeling sorry for yourself all you like. Just don't expect the rest of the world to join you. For some reason, I followed him back to school. And you know what? I never left.
Ashland Oil believes teachers change lives.
So far, we've talked about a lot of things that can throw your driving off track. Other drivers, mechanical problems, dangerous road conditions. But at the center of it all is you. Question 21. You're driving on a country road and see an oncoming car with its high beams on. The driver does not switch to his low beams as he approaches you. Where is the best place for you to look to avoid being temporarily blinded? A, just above the headlights at the driver. B, straight ahead in your lane. C, to the right edge of the road. D, at the center dividing line. The correct answer is C, worth 4 points. You should look to the right edge of the road. Look well ahead of your car and follow the white line or edge of the road. This will keep glare to a minimum and help you safely steer the car. As you get older, it takes you 8 times longer to recover from glare than it did when you were 16. Another ability that decreases with age is reaction time. But good driving habits can help you compensate for the effects of Mother Nature. Question 22 is worth another 4 points. You're driving down a residential street where everything seems perfectly fine. Or is it? How could you have avoided this accident? A, cover your brake whenever driving in a residential area. B, look at least 12 to 15 seconds ahead when driving. C, drive at least 5 miles per hour below the speed limit in a residential area. D, drive in the middle of the street to give yourself a safety cushion on both sides. The answer is B. Look at least 12 to 15 seconds ahead when driving. Most drivers only look 4 seconds ahead. This is all they see. But if you were looking 12 to 15 seconds ahead, you would have seen the ball in the street in plenty of time to slow down, cover your brake, and even honk your horn to warn the child. You know the old saying, where there's a ball, there's a boy. If you watched last year's program, you'll remember this. A simple test of your reaction time. We're going to show you the numbers 1 through 12 and ask you to touch them in order, as quickly as you can. Mark your finish time by the clock on your screen. Get ready? Go. Now let's do the same thing again. We're going to change the location of the numbers. Touch them in order as before. Get ready? Go. We added the elements around the edge of the numbers to simulate the kind of distractions you might face in everyday driving. If you touched 1 through 12 in 5 to 7 seconds, your reaction time is good. Over 10 seconds, however, and you should not be driving. About half of all fatal traffic accidents involve people who were drinking. Now, we all know it's illegal and dangerous to drink and drive. But if you're drinking, how do you know how much is too much? Here are some questions to test your knowledge about alcohol and driving. Question 23 is worth 4 points. What is the legal limit for blood alcohol content while driving in your state? The answer varies from state to state, so look at this map for your answer. In most states, the limit is 0.10. That means 1 drop of alcohol for every 1,000 drops of blood. In these 4 states, California, Maine, Oregon, and Utah, the limit is lower, 0.08. Our next question goes beyond the law. Let's say you have been drinking, but your blood alcohol content is below the legal limit. True or false, you are safe to drive? False, for 4 points. Even if your blood alcohol level is below the legal limit, studies have shown that your driving is still impaired. But even at 0.05, well below the limit in all states, you are still twice as likely to be involved in a collision.
Hi, I'm Marsha Warfield, and after 6 years on night court, I've learned some weird things happen at night. Muggers mug, vampires vamp, and drivers drink. Not a pretty picture. But the Colorado State Police are trying to do something new about drunk drivers on their roads. They videotape sobriety tests. In fact, recently it was ruled that these tapes can be used as evidence in court. Take a look at the conditions some people are in when they get behind the wheel.
Look at your foot and count, sir. 1001, 1002. Count out loud so I can hear you. And count up to 30, all right?
Okay. 1,000,
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, F, I, J, something. Yeah, I know it.
Let's put it this way. If I were on the road, I'd rather take my chances with the vampires.
Now let's say you're not the one drinking. You're hosting a small party at your home. You're serving wine and beer, and your guests seem to drink only moderately. None of them appears intoxicated. After your guests leave, you get a phone call. One of them has been involved in a serious crash and has been taken to the hospital. True or false? You could be held legally responsible for the crash even though you were not in the car. True. A growing number of states have legal provisions for holding the host responsible if he serves alcohol to someone who then goes out and causes an accident. Besides that, the people involved in the collision could sue you. But whether it's a law in your state or not, it's a good practice to be a responsible host. If you answered true, give yourself 4 points.
I'm Connie Salika, one of the spokespersons for MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. What makes me mad is watching anyone drink and drive, no matter how moderately they drink. It's estimated that 2 out of every 5 Americans will be in an alcohol-related crash sometime during their lives. As a host, it's your responsibility to make sure your guest's ride home is not their last. Before the partying starts is the time to ask each group of guests who the designated driver will be. In fact, it's a good idea to make yourself or someone else a keymaster so you can decide who's in control enough to drive home at the end of the evening. Make sure the life of the party stays that way, alive.
Congratulations. You've crossed the finish line of the 2nd annual Valvoline National Driving Test. Now add up your score and we'll be right back to see how you did.
There's a motor oil that talks about quality. Always has, always will. Well, Valvoline makes the highest quality motor oil recommended by any automobile manufacturer. Oh yeah, unlike the competition, Valvoline also makes the motor oil used by 7 out of 10 Indy 500 crew chiefs. That's 7 out of 10 Indy crew chiefs over the last 10 years. People who know use Valvoline. From the highest form of professional racing.
I'm trying to make my race car better than anybody else's.
To the weekend amateur.
I want a horsepower advantage. I want to win races.
From the great mechanics of today.
We're professionals and we're perfectionists.
To the great mechanics of tomorrow.
You have to really work hard to become what you want to be.
People who know use
Valvoline.
Valvoline.
Valvoline. We use Valvoline.
People who know use Valvoline.
To own your own video of the Valvoline National Driving Test, call 1-800-446-8300. That's 1-800-446-8300. For only $29.95, you can own this life-saving test. Have your credit card ready or mail $29.95 plus $3.95 for postage and handling to National Driving Test. Post Office Box 5516, Orangeburg, New York, 10962. This is a videotape that no driver should be without.
Let's put our pencil and paper in park and check back with our test groups one last time. Atlanta.
Okay, to wrap up, Elga, total 57. Myself, 65. Lois, 55. And Rico in the lead, 70. And we had so much fun.
Santa Rosa.
My final score was 76.
My overall score was 70 points for the whole test. Okay, my overall score was 73.5. I brought up the lead with a low 66 points. I did not know a lot of things that were on this test, and I learned a lot of them. I didn't know that it was unsafe to drive even though you're below the legal limit of blood alcohol content.
Sun City.
The Golden Girls of Sun City, our retirement area, has just completed this driving test. And June got a score of 58. Bobby got a score of 66. She's real smart. Bernice got a score of 59.5. Mensa. Jackie got a score of 64.5. So you can tell which were the real ones that are smart. That doesn't take away from the fact that we're all good drivers.
And finally, Boston.
I got 16 points on this section, and I finished up with a score of 84.5. I think we destroyed the misconception that cab drivers are a bunch of maniacs out there on the road, that they don't have any idea what they're doing.
Well, I fell apart a little bit here at the end.
I got 12 points, and it brought my final total to 74.5, which shows me that even though I've been driving a cab for 10 years, I still have a lot to learn.
I did terrific. I'm a little disappointed in myself. I got 16 on this section of the test for a total of 78. We all have a little to learn, though, and that's that's the most important thing we can all do, is learn something every day.
The last section I scored a 16 for a total of 69.5, which I think makes me the low man on the totem pole, which doesn't do much for my morale.
And how about you at home? If you score between 80 and 100, congratulations. You're probably a safe driver, and you have a good chance of beating the odds when it comes to being in a traffic accident. If you score between 60 and 80, you know something about good driving, but there are skills you could learn to be safer on the road. If your score was below 60, you're living dangerously. You should probably take a safe driving course at a nearby driving school. But there are simple things we can all do to make our roads safer. Be alert. Look ahead. Leave enough space between your car and others. And think about what to do in an emergency before it happens. Remember, when it comes to safety, you're in the driver's seat.
The second annual Valvoline National Driving Test has been brought to you by Valvoline Motor Oil. Thanks for watching, and drive carefully.
We'd like to thank the following organizations for their help in designing this test. Thanks for joining us. We hope you learned some things that'll make the road safer for all of us. Good night.
The Ford Motor Company is pleased to have provided automobiles for the second annual Valvoline National Driving Test.
Tomorrow morning, Harry Smith and Hattie Kaufman, who's sitting in for Paula Zahn this week, are joined by actress Julie Andrews and Chrissy Hine of The Pretenders. Start your day off right with CBS This Morning, right here on WCIA Channel 3.
To learn more about driving safety, the Library of Congress suggests these books. Your Quick and Easy Car Care and Safe Driving Handbook by Laura Flynn McCarthy and Sportsmanlike Driving by the American Automobile Association. These and many other interesting books are available at your local library and bookstore. Visit them. They'll be happy to help you read more about it.
During the 70s, I was playing for the best team in football. You know what? I still am.
The NFL Today, 12:30 Eastern.
When I first moved in to take care of my brother's 3 kids, I knew I'd have to make a few domestic adjustments. Nothing I couldn't handle.
Just what in holy hell is going on here?
Then Grandma shows up.
You ever get punched out by a woman?
Like I couldn't handle the old biddy one-handed.
What did you say?
I said one-handed.
Uncle Buck.
You wouldn't hit a one-handed guy, would you? Ah!
This is CBS.
Homes reduced to toothpicks as rescue workers search the rubble in northern Illinois. And Washington waits with skepticism on another Iraqi promise. Good evening, I'm Jerry Slade.
And I'm Ed Kelly. Suzanne has the night off. John Mayo with U of I Volleyball, and Judy with the latest on possible bad weather next on the Channel 3 News at 10.
We asked the International Motorsports Association to challenge the top 4 compact 4x4s in a test of climbing power in the Baja.
The Baja. Off-road racing doesn't get any tougher.
All 4 powered up the hill. But Chevy S10 left the others in the dust. The new 1991 Chevy S10. Kicking dirt and taking names.
The heartbeat of America. Today's truck is Chevrolet.
Celebrate 100 years of Illini football at Hart.
Then following Anything But Love, a prosecutor's girlfriend is murdered, and he's the only witness on Equal Justice. Now, stay tuned for Family Matters. Next.
road. And look where you can be. There's no place like ABC with The Wizard of Oz Saturday mornings this fall.
From the producers of Full House and Perfect Strangers comes a new show predicated on this simple yet terrible